This week on September 17th or 18th, depending on where you are in the world, we're having a super moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, the sign of mysticism and spirituality and deception. So in this video, I'll be breaking it down for you. Welcome, everyone. I'm Vivia from Your Soul's Well, and I would like to thank Nadiya and her team for having me back on her channel. Let's get right into the video. This is the chart of the sky, the moment of the eclipse. Let's first talk about a few things about the eclipses in general. A lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse always occurs during a full moon. And a full moon, there's always an opposition. In your chart, the sun will be in one house, opposing directly across it the moon. So the nature of any lunar eclipse, any full moon, there is always going to be a polarity involved between the sun and the moon. And polarity is tension and having to transpose and understand another point of view, another placement, right? Wherever the moon is to the sun. So that's the first thing I'd like to speak to in terms of a lunar eclipse. This particular lunar eclipse is a super moon lunar eclipse. It's a partial lunar eclipse and it's a super moon lunar eclipse. And what a super moon means is that the moon is actually a bit closer to the earth. So the moon already has influence on the earth, on the tides, on the plants, the flowers opening, closing, the tidal waves. But with a super moon being even closer, we're even going to have even more of an impact on the tides, on the seas, and water. So just keep that in mind. We might see more flooding. We might see more events involving water and disasters such as flooding, maybe tsunamis, any events that deal with water. And also because during an eclipse, the magnetic field of the earth shifts and we can have more seismic activity and volcanic activity. These events have already been playing out and we can see such events throughout the world, different flooding in different regions. So we know this already. So those are some of the things that could happen on the world front, on a whole. Those are some of the things that we could start seeing and that actually we are already seeing if you're paying attention. And because the moon is here in Pisces, it's going to carry the themes of Pisces. And Pisces is a watery and fluid, receptive, emotional and imaginative planet. It's the planet of mysticism and compassion and forgiveness, but it also carries a sense of obviously fantasy, illusion, disillusionment, deception. Those are the two different polarities, if you will, within. If we are following our higher mind, if you will, our higher consciousness, our spiritual drive, which is Piscean, then this archetype shows up for us as striving for our own spiritual values and perceiving ourselves as spiritual beings, as opposed to just only physical beings. And it's understanding that we are one and merging with the divine consciousness, the divine cosmos. However, when we are not in a state that we are accessing our higher consciousness and this idealistic spiritual place, then it can lead to a lot of problems within self and within the society, our societies, of that delusion, escapism, and escapism through anything. It can be very benign things, or it can be intoxication. It can be escapism into drugs, into alcohol, into gambling, those kinds of things. And there can be a sense of lack of boundaries with this polarity here between Virgo, where the sun is placed, and Pisces, where the moon is the polarity of toxicity through not just the Piscean aspect of escapism and wanting to indulge in drugs or alcohol, and not just just illegal or illicit drugs. This can be drugs within the medical system as well. People can obviously overdose on this and use this too frequently as well. And then the polarity is here between this house and then Virgo also deals with toxicity. It deals with our gut, and it deals with Virgoians, people that have a lot of Virgo archetype, Virgo suns, can be very prone to toxicity, to even things like food poisoning. They will be more readily food poisoned than any other sign. And it's this axis here of Virgo and health and purity, right? Because Virgo, the virgin, stands for purity. And over here on this axis is the same thing through a different archetype throw, and not having boundaries around things that could potentially poison us. It's the axis of medicine and the medic, and it's the axis of this very earth-based, practical, pure archetype that wants precision and wants accuracy and wants to focus in on details. And over here, the Piscean wants to look at everything, take an expanded view, and might miss details. So that is where we're at in terms of the archetype. And there's quite a few things happening in this chart. It's quite a dynamic chart. There's the polarity, as I spoke of, with the moon and the sun. But the sun here is also aspecting Pluto in a trine. There's a grand Earth trine happening here between the sun at 2540, Pluto at 2546, and Uranus here. So this emphasizes tangibility and manifestation in the world. It involves the sun here and transformation because it's Pluto and again Uranus. So this grand trine in Earth can really bring things into fruition because Earth is the manifester of the zodiac. It brings thoughts and ideas and dreams into physical incarnation. The thing about Earth is that it is slow. It is slow moving. It is the slowest of the elements. And an Earth grand trine can be very slow moving. However, this is not just an Earth trine because you will see the peak here of this trine. There's another, it's a minor trine. And trines have protective and benevolent energy to them. But because this trine here is capped by this minor trine, then it changes the fluidity of this grand trine. It makes it into a kite. You see that there is a kite forming here in this chart where this Neptune is the apex of the grand trine, the kite rather. And because it's Neptune and it's in Pisces, in its home placement and it's water, there's going to be more fluidity given to this earth and water. So it really brings about the nature of really being able to grow things out of nothing. On Earth, seeds are planted into earth, seeds are planted into soil, they are watered, and plants come about. And this is how you can look at this grand trine, this kite formation. This is how you can look at this kite formation, being able to bring something about that previously you had not been able to. So wherever this Neptune, and I will be going through all of the signs, wherever this Neptune is in your chart, that apex point is where this energy of the grand trine is pointing to. And we're going to look at that. A few other things that are good for us to look at here is that the dispositor of this moon, this full moon, is Jupiter here in Gemini, which is still in a trine here to Venus. So that's a really nice aspect to have. It's very benevolent. It's the two benefics of the zodiac are complementing each other and helping one another out. Remember that Jupiter expands everything that it touches. So this Jupiter is in effect giving this supermoon even more potency and more energy. And it's a benevolent energy because Jupiter is benevolent, right? But it's also being aspected by Venus that again wants harmony and beauty. But on the downside, Venus as well and Jupiter as well can be indulgent. And then these can add to the mix of Pisces already being this energy of just losing oneself into the cosmic sea and having no boundaries. So there is this that we have to watch for. There are a few other elements in this chart that I'm just going to look at generally, but I won't be able to break them down for every sign. One is that Mars here in Cancer is making a T-square to the nodes of fate, this North Node in Aries, as well as the South Node here in Libra, which at this moment, the part of fortune is aspecting by conjunction. So there's a T-square happening here, and T-squares create conflict and yes, tension, and they're challenging, but T-squares tend to bring out our best. And right now, Mars in Cancer is showing us about the home front, our homelands, our own home, our own inner security, is highlighting a feeling of needing to protect oneself, protect one's homeland, protect one's home. And Mars in Cancer can be very, what is the word? It's working with our emotions and looking at the emotions that we conceal, and anger too as well, because Mars deals with anger and confrontation and conflict. And it's important for us not to bury our emotion at this time, or passive aggressive behavior. To watch for any passive aggressive behavior is going to be necessary, especially since it's in this T-square here to the nodes of fate. Okay, so now I'm going to break this down sign by sign, and let's just get into it. You'll also want to keep in mind that this eclipse is happening at 25 degrees of Pisces in 40 minutes. So the closer you have, especially in a water sign, the closer that you have your ascendant or sun sign or moon placement to this within, I would say 5 degrees either side. So I would say anywhere from 20 degrees to, the very end of Pisces. So 29 degrees. So the closer you have any point or aspect to this placement, the more you'll feel it. That could be your sun, your ascendant, or your moon placement in Pisces especially is going to affect you. It could also really affect you if you are a Cancer sun, rising, or moon, because this is a lunar eclipse and Cancer is ruled by the moon. So this could affect you as well. And again, closer your own placements are to this degree, the more impact it will have on you. So not only is Cancer affected by this because you're ruled by the moon, and this is a lunar eclipse all about the moon, but it's also affected by this because, and same thing with Scorpio, because this lunar placement trines your Scorpio or your Cancer. But again, watch for the placement being close to this angle. The farther out it gets, the less impact it will have. And so now let's go back to our chart. Let's look at this chart. If your ascendant is Aries, the full moon, and one more thing I want to say as well about a full moon. The light of the moon, we all know that the moon doesn't generate its own light. It's a reflected light from the sun. And the analogy that we can remember when we're going through and thinking about our own charts and our own experiences is that the light of the moon reflects our own psyche, what's hidden in the psyche, especially when it's Pisces, right? Because it's water and it's depth. And think of the ocean. Think of what Pisces represents. The moon shining in Pisces reflects our hidden psyche, because Pisces, remember, is the 12th house here. It reflects our hidden psyche, it could reflect our shadow side, it could reflect our subconscious tendencies. So if your sun is in Pisces, and this is being aspected very closely for you, especially, remember that your sun has a lot to do with your career, your purpose. It could represent your father, it could represent male figures, and it could represent the direction in your life in terms of the goals that you're setting and what you were working on. If it is your rising sign, it's going to affect pretty much, it could change the whole landscape of your life because all of the chart is generated from your ascendant or your rising sign. If your moon is in Pisces, it has, it could affect you it could be very emotional for you because it's already a very emotional full moon, a very emotional eclipse, considering Pisces is involved, and Pisces is sensitive and it can be very emotional. But if it's your moon especially, but it also can represent your mother or mother type figures, or again, your home, your inner security, and even to some extent your body. Full moons are culminations, right? The moon has reached its peak. It's at its fullness. It can't get any more full. After this, it starts to wane until it gets to a new moon and starts a new cycle. So think about that in your life as well, that it is reaching its peak. It's not just illuminating what needs to be seen on the earth in our lives, but that it's also reaching its culmination point. So there's always a sense of completions, of finality, of endings to a full moon. So in our own lives, especially with an eclipse, it's showing us where things are ending for us. And there's also going to be a sense of loss, right? A sense of separation, perhaps grieving because of that full moon, because of the eclipse, but especially so because it's in Pisces. And Pisces is the last house of the natural chart, of the zodiac. And so it brings a finality to it in itself. And it's the house of what is known, quite often said, the house of our own undoing. So there is this sense of loss with this super moon lunar eclipse. But remember that all new beginnings are preceded by endings. So let's keep that in mind, that as we are finishing something, we are finishing it to start something new. I'm going to share the chart with you again. Now let's get into the breakdown of each sign. Aries rising, sun or moon. Aries rising, when you have Aries on the ascendant, this full moon is going to be here in your 12th house. And this is ever more saying that there is something definitely ending for you, because it's like a triple energy here in endings and in closures. It's in your 12th house. So of course the 12th house is a very elusive house. It deals with our subconscious, our dreams, our ancestry. It's a very invisible, it's a very hidden house. So you could be going through a very deep and transformative psychological process, right? You've got Neptune right here conjuncting the moon, and then Saturn is there too. So for you, it's going to be very psychological. It could bring up a lot of patterns within your own tendencies that relate to your family of origin and ancestral lineages. The sun here is in your 6th house, and so it's illuminating, like, because the sun always shines, and just because the moon is shining, the sun is also still shining, right? And it's illuminating any health issues, any potential for health issues. And then over in the 12th house, it's just it could be bringing up family problems. It could be psychological tendencies towards escapism, towards using perhaps drugs and alcohol. If you use, it's the house, this 12th house is known as the house of isolation. So there might be a tendency for you to want to be alone, explore the self. You might want to do some journaling, take some time alone to meditate, take a step back here from your day-to-day activities. Dream journaling comes up. You might want to do that because this is the house that really deals with that. And you might have some dreams really reveal some very key things in your life that you'll need to move on with. The kite aspect is here. There's Pluto for you in your 10th house. Here's the sun, as I said, in your 6th. There's Uranus in your 2nd, and Neptune here in your 12th. So that kite aspect and that energy is funneling to this Neptune, and it's asking you to, I see dreams, dream big, like really pay attention to your dreams. I think that you can really be able to bring something into physical manifestation by really understanding the dream world better, right? You can look at that and see what that might bring you and see what insights and gems are there. I'm going to break down Venus and Jupiter because Jupiter is the ruler of this moon, and Jupiter for you, beloved Aries, is in your 3rd house. house. So communication, family, friends, there's going to be an expansion perhaps of this energy for you. It's in Gemini. So, and so this energy from this third house, helping here this 12th house. So also too, writing, it just brings us back home, like how important it's going to be for you to use writing and communication of any sort to help you sort out what's going on for you on a very deep and psychological, in a very deep and psychological way. And then here there's Venus that is still in aspect by trine to Jupiter, and Venus is in your house of the other, of partnership, alongside co-present with the South Node as well as the part of fortune. So Venus is, and she's strong because she's in Libra, and so any feminine relationships, and maybe using feminine relationships, and maybe you're going to get lots out of speaking, like actually communicating with females around you, maybe female cousins, aunts, perhaps your own mother even, because remember it is the moon, but because Venus is there in the 7th house for you, and she's very strong, and she's very strong in your 7th house. So using that to your advantage to maybe start talking about what is happening for you, what's coming up for you, subconsciously, and what shadows are being exposed. Beloved Aries, thank you very much for listening. Well, beloved Taurus, rising sun or moon, especially rising, when you have Taurus on the ascendant, the full moon is happening in your 11th house. Your 11th house deals with, it's considered the house of hopes and dreams. It deals with groups, organizations, any kind of group that you belong to, whether they're online or in person, your greater groups of your friendship groups. It's a house of, if you have any kind of public platform online, this would be in this house. It's your networks, your alliances that you forge. It's your friendship groups. It's your greater community. It's one of the higher houses of money, right? And that is where the moon is placed. The moon is placed right here in this house, sandwiched right between Saturn and Neptune. So it's illuminating for you these areas. So there could be some type of ending here in any one of those things, an ending of some type of group that you're in, or organization, friendship group. Remember that all the endings result in a new beginning. So just keep that in mind, right? If things are ending, because endings just tend to be painful. And if it is a friendship group, just understand that something better is coming about for you. It's time to dream it into being, because Neptune is here, right, in your 11th house, alongside conjunct the moon. And it's the apex of this kite in Earth, with Pluto in your 9th house, Uranus in your 1st house, and the sun here in your 5th house. So the sun in your 5th is bringing energy to your creative house of enterprise and romance and adventure. And over here, it's shining a light on this moon that's trying to show you things that might be happening underneath, or things that are being revealed to you in these organizations, in these groups, in the groups of friends, things that might be happening that could be a bit deceptive, because that's Neptune here, right? Neptune right alongside the moon has this powerful influence to show us, right? It can also deceive. So we do have to watch for really getting to the truth. But that's how I feel that this Neptune, this Pluto here is helping by sextile aspect. And it's just really illuminating this 11th house for you. The dispositor of this moon is here. It's Jupiter in Gemini in your 2nd house. So first, okay, this Uranus going through your 1st house, you should have been going through massive changes already in your life, just completely restructuring yourself, coming to new awarenesses, being able to see yourself maybe in a new light, have downloads, because it's been in your 1st house for quite a while now. With Jupiter here in your 2nd house, it's naturally going to expand the area of your 2nd house, but it's expanding as well this energy here in Pisces, the moon in Pisces, and then Venus in your 6th house, being aspected by Venus in your 6th house. So for you, this could deal with relationships with women at work, because the 6th house is our day-to-day work. And it's so perhaps getting some help from somebody at work. And this principle of expansion here with Jupiter aspecting the moon could expand this. So this could be, when I look at this, I think about some gossip at work, and really making sure that you're not the one gossiping, right? This is going to be an important important time to really, speak truth. Pluto is involved here in this kite, right? And Pluto wants us to be ethical and moral and speak our truth. It deals with power and power grabs. And it's just there on, it's in your 9th house right now, but very close here to your 10th house. And depending on what your chart is in Placidus, it could be in your 10th house of public recognition and career. But that said, when I look at this Venus and I look at this Jupiter and I look at this moon here in your 11th house of highlighting endings, I'm just thinking about gossip, and I'm thinking about also, deception and lies. So make sure that you're very clear with your words. This Jupiter in Gemini likes to talk, right? Likes to use lots of words and expressions. So in your 2nd house of values and what you value, take a look at what it is that you value and what your emphasis is on. But that's what I can see there. And so female relationships at work being highlighted, and possible endings that will lead to new beginnings in these areas of your life. All right, beloved Taurus, thank you for watching. All right, Gemini, sun, moon, or rising. We are at your sign here. And when you have Gemini, especially as the ascendant, the full moon is happening in your 10th house of public recognition and career and status. And like I've said before in other videos, even if you do not have a career, you might be retired or you might be a stay-at-home mother, this house is still an active house you still have this house in your chart. It's what you are known for in the world, what you are recognized for, what contributions you've made to your community, your immediate environment, the people that are around you have an impression of you. You still have some type of public stature, and whatever that is being defined and redefined for you with this lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse is happening here in your 10th house, and the sun is here in your 4th house, right? So the 10th house, again, is all about public recognition, being seen, being visible, being recognized, what you're recognized for. It can be your relationship status as well. It could be your career in general, but even colleagues through work associations that way, your public recognition. But when the moon is being eclipsed here, something here is ending for you. Something it's going to pan out and roll out over the next 6 months, because something is ending here and it's highlighting this area of your life for you to look at, anything coming up for you here. And there might be some deception involved. Remember, this is Neptune here that's involved in a conjunction here with this moon. And the apex of the trine, or the grand trine for you, is happening with the sun, as I spoke of already, in your 4th house of home, security, your innermost security, perhaps your mother or mothering, and then Pluto here in your 8th house of your own psychology, other people's resources, and then here Uranus in your 12th house, again another deeply psychological house. And then the apex of it is here. The apex of the kite is here in Neptune. So using this energy to dream a new reality around what you want, how you want to be seen in the world, how you want to show up, who you want to be. This is a potent time for you to do that. The dispositor of this full moon is here, Jupiter in Gemini. It's in your 1st house. So for you, Gemini, there's a lot happening because Jupiter going through your 1st house is expanding your sense of self and who you are in the world. And because it is here, Venus is here in your 5th house of dreams, romance, adventure, entrepreneurship, taking risks. So this energy here is helping this energy up here in your 10th house. So it might just be a time for you to take a risk in something that you've never conceived before, never done before, something new, something exciting, something that you have dreamt about for a long time. It could involve women, because Venus is the planet that represents women, and the moon also represents women. So some type of collaboration with women, and some type of collaboration with women being seen there and helping you, because something is ending here in your 10th house. Something, the way that you are seeing the career that you currently have is making a shift. So a new vision coming in through this Neptune for what you foresee for that vision for yourself. Beloved Gemini, thank you for watching. Beloved Cancer, sun, moon, or rising, especially if you are rising, your if your rising sign is here, that places the full moon here in your 9th house, with the sun opposite in your 3rd house. So the full moon is highlighting for you issues of the 9th house, and that 9th house have to deal with higher studies, philosophy, your higher mind as it pertains to those kinds of things. It could deal with spirituality. It's known as the house of God. It could deal with philosophy, foreign travel, foreigners. This house has everything to do with our belief systems, our beliefs. It's naturally ruled by Jupiter, which is placed here in your 12th, which is currently placed here in your 12th house, right? And is the dispositor of this moon. So there's this emphasis for you. Something is ending with your current belief system. Something is ending for you. This super lunar eclipse is highlighting an ending for you in your current belief systems, in your current way that you view the world, in your current philosophy, in the current way that you go about your spiritual matters, your philosophy, your way of life. It deals with your purpose and your faith. It has to do with higher learning, higher education systems. So this house is being challenged to let go of any of these old beliefs that hold you back. You can see them as holding you back because it's birthing something new. It's something new is coming into reality here. The grand trine for you is happening with your sun in your 3rd house, your Pluto in your 7th house, and Uranus in your 11th. The apex of the kite is here with Neptune here in the 9th house, conjuncting the moon, bringing greater emphasis to, well, what this is telling me is obviously putting energy, just like all the other signs, into dreaming a new dream about what you want for your life around your philosophy, your faith. If you consider yourself a religious person, it could be time to release religion, or it could be time to embrace religion if perhaps you've never done that before. But Neptune here also, remember, because Neptune is a planet that deceives us, or it's very it creates an illusion. So when Neptune is here, let's remember that to look for the truth, and that's what this Pluto wants, right? It wants us to seek the truth, and it's going to help here, this Neptune, for you to get to that truth. Now, for you, this is a spiritual initiation for you, perhaps, so lots of emphasis here for you on the spiritual, really taking in a new spiritual viewpoint, perhaps meditation, prayer, whatever you feel guided to. There are so many avenues to what we call God, right? So whatever is appropriate for you, something is ending here, something new is being birthed here. Jupiter for you, as I just mentioned, is in your 12th house. It's helping that energy expand here. So this is even more emphasis. I actually just got shivers because 12th house is the house that Pisces rules over. And when you have Jupiter here, this is showing me Jupiter in Gemini, because Gemini is our friendships and our friendship basis. Yeah, it's like it's benevolent spirit coming through your 12th house in your dreams. In recording dreams is going to be important for you, and even through friendships, sharing this through friendships. Although friendships is the 11th house, I do recognize that, but there's something here, and maybe this is personal because I do know a Cancer rising who is going through this, so I can see this in that person's chart, and that might not apply to all of you, but I do know with this person, there's a lot going on here with friendships, an expansion of friendships, and this Jupiter in your 12th house is like a connection to friendships that are on a deeply personal level to the soul. Does that make sense? Like reconnecting with, it's a reconnection with people from your past life. That's what I see when I look at this chart. And it's going to be very Venusian, right? Very influenced by women. It's going to affect your home, your deep internal security, because this is Venus in Libra. Remember, Venus is very strong in Libra, and it's trining Jupiter, which is helping this moon here out. So I see this as such a really auspicious time for you, a spiritual ignition, a spiritual, like embarking on a new spiritual path. So yes, something is ending for you. It might be painful because letting go of our beliefs can be hard, but something new is being birthed. It's going to be absolutely beautiful for you, Cancer rising. Well, beloved Cancer, thanks for watching. Leo, sun, moon, or rising, especially if you were rising, because it means the moon is here in your 8th house. Never mind the degree, it's actually at 25, 40, and it's Neptune. These two have exchanged places, but they're not really. They haven't exchanged places whatsoever. Anyways, this moon for you, Leo, is highlighting this moon here in your 8th house with the sun opposing it here in your 2nd house, is highlighting your deep and dark and mysterious 8th house of your psychology. It deals with trauma. This house can deal with trauma, buried trauma. It can deal with secrets, anything that is occulted, hidden stories about the self, about perhaps your family, about this moon is going to highlight this house for you. It's going to be transformative for you because it is your 8th house. 8th house matters always bring up stuff really from the deep psyche and put it into our awareness. And that's what this moon is doing, right? You might end up seeing things seeing things around money, other people's resources. If you have a significant other, it could be highlighting something about your significant other's resources, finances. Something could be shown to you, something with taxes, something with investments could come about from this. And it could be some type of deception because Neptune is involved here, right? Now, the grand trine for you is happening with the sun here in Virgo in your 2nd house, Pluto here in your 5th house, Uranus here in your 10th house. But the kite is here, all right? The kite is here. The apex of the kite is actually pointing to Neptune. Never mind this configuration. I have to change the time to get the ascendant right. And this is not the configuration of the sky. Neptune is actually right here. And the point of this kite is pointing to Neptune here in your 8th house. So dreaming a new dream for yourself around your 8th house. So this could really involve maybe endings through some type of counseling. You might need some type of counseling, might need to start talking about things that are in your life because counseling is definitely in this house, but it could just be endings in general. And it could be just having a new vision for yourself around these kind of themes. Like maybe you've always wanted to study something in the occult. Maybe it's time now to start envisioning that for yourself. Start envisioning what you can do with the 8th house matters, which, as I said already, having a vision for maybe what you want to invest in, perhaps, because this is this house, just taking a look at what you can see for yourself here, what you can create for yourself here, because this is powerful energy, right? Trines are very benevolent. Grand trines are very powerful. Grand trine in Earth is, like I said already, a manifester. And with the kite and the apex here in your 8th house, it's really being able to tap in and harness all of this energy in the 8th house, which a lot of it isn't your energy. It's other people's resources. So look around you, look around your community, perhaps, finding new sources of resources, finding where you can invest in. And that's what's coming up. Jupiter is here. It's the dispositor of this moon, of all these planets really in your 8th house, and it's in your 11th house. So this even gives more emphasis to other people's resources, collaborating with people, forming organizations, becoming part of organizations, taking a look at who is around you, what communities that you can perhaps invest in. It's very Aquarian, right? Even though your house of Aquarius, the Aquarian house for you is Gemini, but that is your currently where Jupiter is placed as a transit in your chart. So it's expanding this area for you, and you're going to be able to harness this energy to create something new for yourself. Venus is here in your 3rd house, and yet again, it's showing that it is about relationships with you, because this is, Venus, of course, the feminine, and maybe partnering and collaborating with females around you or people with Venusian energy. And in your 3rd house, it is your immediate community. So you have both of these houses highlighted, your house of immediate community and your house of greater community. So it's all about community and all about relationship for you right now, beloved Leo. And it's all about dreaming a dream about where you can take your life and how you can use the resources around you to your benefit. All right, beloved Leo, thank you for listening. Virgo, sun, moon, or rising. Especially rising, the full moon is happening here in your 7th house with the sun opposing it in your 1st house. So your 1st house is being highlighted, and your 7th house of relationships, contracts, marriages, partnerships, your house of, so something for you is ending here in this area of of your life. And it could deal with an important partnership for you. But remember that when it's ending just to create something new for you in this area of your life, it has to do with the other. It has to do with, it could maybe involve some deception because Neptune is placed very close here to this moon. The moon is actually at 25 and 40 minutes of Pisces. I just have to adjust the time to get the ascendant accurate, but it's actually a lot closer here. So this might be painful, but do remember that from it, something new will arise. The grand trine for you, beloved Virgo, is happening again with your sun in your first house, Pluto here in your fifth house, Uranus in your ninth house. So this energy, and it's the apex is here in Neptune. So it's time to dream and bring that energy into dreaming. And you dream for partnership, for a relationship, for the other that is in front of you, right? Just bringing this into fruition and understanding what it is that you need, understanding what it is that you need out of this for your life and for, it's evolving us. All of this is evolving all of us. It's Neptune in Pisces, right? So it is helping us on a higher plane of spirituality. And that's what I see here for you with your relationships, with being able to bring into manifestation what you truly desire on a spiritual level. Even with Uranus here in your ninth house of belief systems, of the divine, of bringing belief systems and the divine, bringing energy here to this Neptune and Pluto here, breaking down any of that resistance or trying to get to the truth, right? The dispositor is Jupiter. It's in your 10th house, being aspected here by Venus in your second house. So maybe this ending is going to have some type of, maybe it's going to be very visible. It could be a very visible breakup, a very visible ending to a contract that deals with, it could deal with your career or your public status or reputation of some sort, because that is the 10th house. And with women, because this is Venus and it's aspecting Jupiter as well, and some type of value system. So something to do, it could be a business contract with money because Venus is involved here, is aspecting Jupiter, and then it's Jupiter is the depositor here. Maybe a change in value system is going to come about for you, or new contracts for you, new relationships for you. But keep the vision alive here and make sure to put energy into that and what you want to see manifest out of your life here. Okay, beloved? All right, beloved Virgo, thank you for listening. Beloved Libra, sun, moon, or rising, especially rising. If your rising is here, Libra, this full moon eclipse is happening here in your 6th house of daily habits, work, health, small pets, the things that you do on the daily. You could have implications for employees if you have any, or if you are one, the work that you do day in, day out, your regular habits. Something here in this house is ending. It could be an ending of a current job that you have, maybe an employee leaving, maybe you leaving, obviously, as an employee if it's a job. And again, I will stress that whatever ends, it's opening up an avenue for something new to come in. When it involves your 6th house, it's always important to pay attention to your health and your health habits, especially when Neptune is here in the mix, because Neptune does deal with addictions and it is so close to the moon, and Neptune and the moon so close together can really bring about addictions. And when I see it in your 6th house, it could be a cause for concern. So maybe taking a look at habits that might help you reinforce healthier habits if it's necessary. And it could be an ending to that. It could be difficult to let go of anything that might be hampering our health, especially if it's in terms of having addictions, but it always is well worth it, right? So that is ending here. And for you, the grand trine is happening with the sun in your 12th house, which emphasizes for me the whole idea of, because the sun in your 12th house is also highlighting any type of addictions. It is the natural placement of Pisces. It's the 12th house of our own self-undoing, right? So the sun in your 12th house, Uranus here in your 8th house, again, just showing me psychological tendencies, what's beneath the surface, what's coming up to be visible, anything hidden, anything secret, and Pluto here in your 4th house, which is all about our inner security. And that brings to mind for me, oftentimes addictions are sourced in trying to feel secure. So Neptune wants us to dream the big dream in real life. And this is the opportunity for you because it has this grand trine here, right? It has this grand trine associated with it that can manifest into form, that can bring into form what was once just a dream, and that's this dream of Neptune. But this Neptune, psychologically, and all of your psychological houses are being aspected right now, Libra rising. We use to try to evade our emotion, right? Which is so Piscean, or to feel emotion. And that's your fourth house of security. It's has to do with how we feel and being able to be confident in who we are and stand up as who we are. So this house here is speaking volumes to me about just needing to dream the dream of health and dream the dream of staying on the path of sobriety. Like, this is Saturn, right? Because Saturn is our reality check. So ending perhaps of addictions, ending of anything that is creating ill health, and opening up an avenue to assess your habits on a daily basis that will lead you to ultimate health and that purity that this sixth house seeks. Jupiter, the dispositor of this chart, is here in your ninth house. It's being aspected by Venus, which is in your very strong placement in your first house here, Libra rising. So this ninth house deals with our beliefs and our faith, and it deals with any type of spirituality. So it's asking you to have a higher vision for yourself, and it could, and I just see this too as Venus there. I don't know why the word gentle is coming up in association with us, but it is, and it's like affection for self, not in an opulent or indulgent way, which could happen because this is Jupiter and Venus aspecting one another. Really just taking care of yourself on a level that you haven't before, perhaps understanding your true value because this is Venus, and understanding balance, obviously, because that's Libra. But there's something here about really connecting to your feminine side and really having value and emphasis on this to be able to bring it about in a very healthy way for yourself. And faith, your faith is challenging this, because even though Jupiter is the ruler here of this moon, that Jupiter is the ruler of this moon, it is actually in square to the moon. So a challenge of faith and being able to see yourself in a new light and being able to really take care of self and do the things that need to be done to take care of self in a whole new way, and really looking at the deeper psyche and what is needed to have health on a day-to-day level. Scorpio sun, moon, or rising, especially rising when Scorpio is on the rising. When Scorpio is here on the ascendant, it places the moon here in your fifth house. So the moon in your fifth house being opposed here by the sun is being highlighted. So it's offering illumination in the area of your fifth house, which has to do with romance, children. It can deal with adventure. It can deal with speculation, gambling. It can deal with, it's about joy and wonder, this house. It's about being creative. It's artistry. It's entrepreneurship, any endeavors through entrepreneurship. So it's really being highlighted, and something here is ending. It could be, ending, an ending to maybe a creative endeavor you had, or a romance that you had, or even a relationship with a child. So this house in this moon is being highlighted, and it's illuminating something here for you to see. So if it involves your children, it could be illuminating something to do with your relationship with your children, and it could be illuminating anything to do with any of those things that this house deals with, that list. But this house, remember again, if it's ending a cycle, it's starting a new one, right? And to remember that, because obviously endings are painful, they can be very painful, and to remember that something new is going to be birthed. Everything ends, something new begins, right? Now, the grand trine for you is happening with, like I said, the sun here in your 11th house, Uranus in your 7th house, and Pluto in your 3rd house. So your houses of relationship are highlighted. Your 3rd house of immediate community, immediate family, like aunties, uncles, cousins, your siblings, really close best friends are here. And then this house of bigger community, like groups of friends, online organizations and societies that you belong to, and did I say groups of friends? That one is being highlighted here. And then your 7th house of the other, of business, contracts, relationships, that is happening. There's emphasis here as well because Uranus is here. And so there's manifestation for you available through your relationships, through these portals, these houses. This is the areas where it might take place in your life. The kite for you is happening here, and it's again pointing to Neptune. It's pointing to Neptune to everybody. It's just in a different area of your chart as we move through the zodiac. And for you, it's about dreaming a new dream around your creativity. It's around entrepreneurship, perhaps with your children, romantic endeavors, entrepreneurship, how you play, your enthusiasm, adventure, romance. Really dream big in this area of your life, Scorpio, because there's a lot changing for you right now. The dispositor is here. It's Jupiter in your 8th house. Again, dealing with other people, other people's resources, tapping into other people's resources, the resources around you, and understanding what you have available to you is going to be very potent for you. The 8th house is a potent house. Then it is aspected here by Venus, which is in your 12th house it's your dream house. It's further emphasis to dream really big, the vision that you have for yourself, for your career, for your children, for your romantic life. This is a lot of very positive, uplifting energy. It's a very good time for relationship for you. This is so even though something might be ending in this area of your life, what is being birthed has the potential for such beauty and for such collaboration with other people. Okay, beloved Scorpio, thank you for listening. Sagittarius, sun, moon, or rising is especially rising because when you have Sagittarius on the ascendant, it places the full moon in your 4th house of home, inner security, and of the mother. Further emphasizing for you, Sagittarius, mother issues. It could be you as a mother or your own mother. So the moon in this house with the sun opposing it is shadowing for you, or is highlighting for you any shadows in your own home, in the way you were raised as a child, in your own mothering skills, or the way that you were mothered. And they're connected, right? Like the way we were mothered is the way that we tend to mother. And that could be good or it could be not so good. And when something is being highlighted and shown to us, we are being asked to delve deep and look at what there is there to be seen, to look at those shadows and understand that something is changing here. You might actually be changing homes because that also is the 4th house. The 4th house is your home. You might have to move. You might be deciding to move homes, an ending of maybe an even ending of the way that something to do with your home life, something to do with your inner security and mothering issues, and ending. Now, the grand trine for you is happening, as I said, with your sun here in your very visible 10th house, and Uranus in your 6th house, and Pluto in your 2nd house. So having to do with your value system, your public house of recognition, as well as your 6th house of daily habits and daily work, with the apex of it being here and Neptune in your 4th house. So reimagining, revisioning your home. If you do end up having to move, it's time to start thinking about what you want your new home to look like. What is the perfect home? What do you envision that to be? What do you want that to be for yourself? And the moon here also, remember we talked about it showing us about things that are hidden or concealed. It comes to full light in the full moon. So maybe some type of subconscious psychological tendencies that came out of how you were being raised might come up with this house, because that's this foundational house in the chart. And it's a good time perhaps to start looking at that. The dispositor is Jupiter. It's here in your 7th house of relationship and other. It's being aspected by Venus, who is strong in Libra in your 11th house of others, groups and friends, and Jupiter here in your 7th. So this could have something to do with, if you're married, it could have something to do with your husband, or just general relationships being expanded, and relationships with women in your 11th house of friends. And so these houses are being highlighted, and they're showing energy around female relationships, groups that you're involved with that are Venusian in their archetypal sense. So it could be women, groups of women. And then, like I said already, perhaps a husband or like a partnership of some sort is being shown here, and it's what is ruling here, this moon. So maybe relationships, if you're married, it could be a relationship with your husband and tendencies in that relationship to highlight the deeper layers of subconscious for you, and showing it to you, and understanding it from that perception. And perhaps a move, maybe moving, maybe moving for some type of new contract as well, because that could be Jupiter in the 7th house. So remember, what ends, it's ending to start something new. All right, beloved Sagittarius, Capricorn sun, moon, or rising, especially Capricorn rising, because when you have Capricorn on the ascendant, it places the moon in your 3rd house of your immediate community, of communication, of immediate family, in like your aunties, uncles, cousins. It could be your best friends as well, right? The bestie house is here. Now, this is highlighting something in those areas of your life, and it's ending something. So some relationships here could be ending for you, some of those closer relationships. It could also just be ending the way that you communicate and understanding a new form of communication. I mean, Saturn, after all, is here, right? So it's, as it's traversing this house, it wants you to, up level your game in communication. So maybe, and with Neptune's in such close proximity to your moon here, it could be about deception. And so deception with communication, it could be being deceived by other people around you in your immediate surroundings, right? So to watch for that. And also, whenever we look at any type of gossip, deceit, lies, we look first to ourselves and ask ourselves if we are doing our best to be fully effective communicators and on the up and up, making sure that we are doing our best to stay as authentic as possible and stay true to our own words, right? Meaning what we say and saying what we mean. So that is coming up, endings. But if something does end here in this house, remember that something new will begin. Now, the grand trine for you is happening with the sun opposing your moon here in your 9th house, faith and beliefs and religion, higher learning, and Uranus in your 5th house, and romance and speculation and children, and Pluto in your 1st house. So Capricorn, Pluto going through your 1st house has been life altering for you. It's still happening, and you're still going to feel the effects of it even after it's left and gone into Aquarius. But this energy is manifesting here through your 9th house of higher vision, philosophy, your 1st house of self, and your 5th house here of those things that I just mentioned, entrepreneurship. But the apex of it is here in your 3rd house of communication and your 3rd house of immediate environment. Those immediate relationships that are essential for all of us. So again, it's the point of dreaming about what you want that to look like. What do you want your immediate environment to look like? What do you want your immediate and most, your closest relationships to look like? Do you have a vision for that? What does that look like moving forward through this eclipse cycle and through the coming months, and therefore the years ahead, right? Yeah, that's what I see there for you. Jupiter is here. The depositor of this moon is Jupiter. It's here in your 6th house. So everyday habits, everyday health, it's being aspected by Venus, which is in your 10th house and is strongly placed here in Venus in your 10th house here. Okay. So that is aspecting this Jupiter. It's a benevolent energy. So so relationships with women, and maybe in your career, maybe at your workplace, expanding and benevolent energy coming in through that, and that helping this 3rd house here, this 3rd house of relationships and friendships, but it's expanding it. So if relationships are ending, this could have something to do with that. So remember just to stay, like I said, very clear about your intentions, very clear communicator, do the best you can to communicate very well and wisely, using the words that really express as much as possible your authentic self and your truth, because stuff is changing here. Like I said, it involves your 10th house of public reputation and your 6th house of work, everyday habits. Thank you, beloved Capricorn. Aquarius, sun, moon, or rising, especially Aquarius rising, because when you have Aquarius on the ascendant, it places the moon here in your 2nd house, and it's being illuminated here by the sun in your 8th house. It places the moon here in your 2nd house. So your 2nd house of values and possessions and what you spend your money on and how you personally make your money is being highlighted by this full moon. Now, this full moon is bringing up any type of shadow for you that you need to look at regarding your own finances, your personal accountability to your own finances, what you value might be challenged. You might have to take a look at that if there are any shadow aspects there. Also, how you personally make your own money and your possessions. So anything to do with that sort of thing. The second house also covers the food that you ingest, right? So maybe there's going to be things coming up around this, and this, remember, is a lunar eclipse. So things are ending right now. It's a full moon. So it's a full super moon. So things here are ending for you. So perhaps ending how you are making money, how you make your money currently. Perhaps it's ending how you nourish yourself, the way that you what's coming to mind is like unconscious eating. And what's coming to mind as well is obviously our value system. What we value is going to be important here, and maybe an ending to a belief system around our values, right? Values are here. So that is being finalized for you, and something ending around this. But the grand trine for you is happening with the sun here opposing the moon in your Virgo house, the 8th house. So even more emphasis on, it ties into the whole, obviously, second house because it's the polarity of it, but the thing to do with the food and ingestion and anything to do with money. It could be that the money part could have to do as well with learning to resource from other people's resources. That could be because the sun is here and this is the grand trine. This is Pluto in your 12th house, and Uranus here is the final leg of this grand trine in your 4th house of security and home. So things changing there for you, and an ability to manifest through these houses and what they represent. The kite is here in Neptune in your 2nd house again. So dreaming a dream of who you are, understanding what you're able to do yourself. The first thing that comes to mind when I look at this and I look at this Neptune is about the value system, about yourself, how you value yourself, and having a new vision for that. If that has been at all challenged at all in your life, at all in the last little while, this is a time now to really put forth a vision for yourself, for how you see yourself moving forward, for how you see yourself creating finances for yourself, being able to generate money on your own, if that's what's needed, being able to, like, how you finance yourself, how you generate income, your own earning possession, your own earning potential, your own personal earning potential, as well as obviously possessions and the things that you value. There's something ending in this area, and there's a new vision being created, and that's what you would want to look at there. The final dispositor is, or rather, the dispositor of the moon is Jupiter. It's here in your 5th house. So an expansion of energy again around creating and being able to vision, and just having this very, benevolent spirit in this joyous house and being able to expand it. It's being aspected here by Venus, which is in your 9th house, again bringing emphasis to vision and to your belief system and what you want to create for your life and what you see for your life from this very high house here in your chart, right? A vision and prosperity and benevolence. And this is a very nice aspect that we have here, right? So revisioning yourself, re-seeing yourself and who you are as in terms of how you value yourself. Like respect comes up when I look at this. Self-respect comes up. Yeah, that's what I see there. Thank you for watching, beloved Aquarius. Pisces sun, moon, or rising, especially if it is a Pisces rising, because that means it's right in your 1st house. And this is all about you, Pisces, right? Last but certainly not least, dearest Pisces, so much is ending for you. Now, so the full moon is a culmination and an ending point, right? So is the lunar eclipse. So is the cycle that we're in with this eclipse. And so is Pisces. And now being placed in your 1st house has so much symbolic reference to really understanding and transforming self. Really understanding who you are is going to be forefront for you now during this eclipse season, this time period now, but moving forward into the next 6 months at least, but will have ripple effects all throughout your entire life, because that's what energy does. And that's what change always does, right? So now Pisces, with this being in your 1st house, it is going to, this moon right here in your 1st house, it is going to bring emphasis to and highlight anything to do with self, anything to do, like it could be so many things, because this is your ascendant. This is you, Pisces. It could have so much impact into your life. It's such a pivotal point for you because the first house is all about you. It determines all of the rest of the chart, right? So it's how you are seen by others. It's your physical appearance. That is the first house. It's your identity. It's how you see yourself. It's how others see you. And because it determines all of the other house placements, it could have the most impact on you, especially as I said at the beginning of this video, especially if your ascendant or certainly if your sun placement is here, the closer it is to 25 degrees and 40 minutes of Pisces, the more impactful it's going to be on you. Now, this is going to be closure and ending. So it could be shutting down and closing off things that no longer work for you, no longer serve you. It could be anything because it's you, Pisces. It could be the way you carry yourself, the way you dress. It could be you could all of a sudden, change something about your appearance that you've never done before, like completely cutting off your hair or dyeing it a different color when normally you would never do anything like that. It's just having extra emphasis and extra impetus to do drastic and changes like that. So things like that are going to be highlighted. And now the grand trine for you is with the sun opposing your moon here in your 7th house of Virgo and Pluto in your 11th house of Capricorn and Uranus in your 3rd house of Taurus. Now, these 3 houses deal with relationships, right? The 3rd house is your immediate relationships. It could be your best friends, siblings, aunties, uncles, cousins, your immediate environment and communication, as well as the 7th house deals with the other in front of you. That's me right now, but in your own life, it's anybody else in front of you. It's contracts, it's relationships, it's significant others, it's business partnerships, right? And then your 11th house is your higher house of relationship in terms of groups, organizations, groups of friends. So these houses have emphasis, and the 11th house also is the higher house of money, like the online communities and forums and belongs there too, right? The internet. But these houses are being impacted by this grand trine, and then the kite is here with Neptune at the apex. So the energy is being siphoned to this Neptune and is asking you to dream a new vision of yourself, Pisces. You can do it, visionary Pisces. You can dream a new vision of yourself. And because this very strong energy, use this very strong energy of this grand trine to bring into form the formless, right? That's all we always do. We always bring into form the formless. We are all manifest into form from the cosmos, from the cosmic soup of life, right? Now, so that's a brilliant opportunity for you. There's a lot of potential here for you to really completely restructure your life and to dream really big right now, Pisces. The dispositor of this moon is Jupiter in your 4th house, and it's being aspected by Venus here in your 8th house. So the 4th house deals with home and security and motherhood, and the 8th house deals with other people, other resources. So energy here coming in, and it's dealing with, the first thing that comes to mind is security. Both of these houses deal with psychology and depth, right? So bringing forth security and maybe greater like a foundation, a stronger foundation for which you to bring your life, and maybe resources, other women in your life and resources. So that is something to consider here with this Venus placed in your 8th house aspecting Jupiter, which is the depositor of the moon. All right, beloved Pisces, thank you so very much. Well, that's it, beloved souls. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Vivia. My channel is Your Soul as Well, and you can find the link below to my channel if you want to check out more of my work.